Hi everyone, this is Patrick here, and I'm not really supposed to be showing you any of this, but I figured I would leak Legacy's Allure Season 2. There's a lot of big, crazy changes, a lot of very cool, awesome stuff, and I figured what better way to give back to you guys for everything you've done than to just go against Keith's tyrannical rule and just show off the entirety of Legacy's Allure Season 2. So, without further ado, there's a lot of big changes. I hope you're ready. And here it is! I know, it's crazy. So, if you don't know, Keith really likes MOBAs. His favorite game of all time is Dota 2. He plays it non-stop. Uh, pretty much praises it as the next coming of Jesus Christ. So, he decided to just turn Legacy's Allure into a MOBA. As the maps changed, the units have changed, everything has changed. None of the rules are as they seem, yada yada yada. A lot of crazy things. But for real though, this is an April Fool's joke. Haha, very funny. Clickbait. gotcha all. For real though, this is kind of a game I've been coming up with. So, a while ago, there's this game called MINImax Tinyverse, and that was my favorite game of all time. Sadly, due to what I can say was bad management of the game, poor decisions on the creators and designers' part, and overall just poor company-ishness, it sadly was taken away from us. It's no longer in Steam. You cannot play it any longer. And actually really broke my heart. Luckily I found Legacy's Allure, and that kind of filled the void that MINImax's deletion kind of put there. So I'm happy for Legacy's Allure for coming to my life. I very much appreciate it. But I'll forever hold MINImax in my heart. I'm tearing up already. So, this is just a small game that I made to try and reenact the good old days of that game. There's a lot of changes that I made just because MINImax was a digital game, and it had a lot of stuff was done automatically, like damage and damage calculations and all that. But fortunately, I don't know how to make a digital game, so I just decided to make a board game similar to Legacy's Allure. And it's not. I would say it's not very good of a game. It's missing a lot of stuff, but this is just something that I've wanted to do. I've wanted to bring MINImax back in some way, shape, and form. I've pretty much made all of this myself. I've had a couple people in the Legacy's Allure Discord test it out and got their opinions, but pretty much everything here I've made myself. I'm not looking to advertise this game. I'm not looking to sell this game. This is just something to sort of bring back the memories of that once great game we had. So I'm just going to try and describe the rules the best I can. There's no rule book or anything, but I'm just going to try my best. Any feedback would be greatly appreciated for any ideas you would have, but there are some things that most of this stuff is just coming straight from MINImax. A lot of the units, heroes, abilities, mechanics, I'm porting straight from MINImax, and I don't plan on changing. But I appreciate any and all feedback, and I'm just here to try and bring back those memories. Alright, so first off, we have a board. It's a typical MOBA-esque game. It's one side is you, the other side's your opponent. Um, you're trying to destroy the enemy's base and destroy their towers and castles and all that. But there's a twist. You have one hero that you control, and you summon down your own creeps to your own lanes that you want to, push. There are objectives. There are side objectives like those little blocks in the middle you see. They give you some extra resources to help push and destroy your enemy. The enemy's towers are there to try and push you back and all that. And so very MOBA-esque. It's not quite as much flair. There's no dragon or Roshan or whatever to kill. One of those big objectives, but it's a very small game. So the main goal of MINImax, the board game, is to get as many, to destroy more towers than your opponent. So as you can tell, there's like three towers and one castle. Tower, 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 castle. And your goal is to destroy more towers than your opponent. However, if you're really gutsy, you can try and go straight for the castle. Castle is very hard to destroy because this is where their units are spawned. So they're constantly reinforcing it with units. It does a ton of damage, and it just has a lot of health. I think it's 30 health. So it's very hard to try and bust through the tower because of its constant, or the castle, because it does a lot of damage, got a lot of health. Units are constantly reinforcing it, so it's very hard to try and stop it or destroy it. So the main goal is to just try and get more towers than your opponent. If you're just really far ahead, you can destroy the castle. But I've pretty much made the castle as hard as possible to destroy, so there's no instant win. You're mainly just trying to fight for the towers. In the event both towers are destroyed, it'll go down to a tiebreaker. After 10 rounds, if the same amount of towers are destroyed, we go into sudden death, where there's no more resources gained. You can't gain any more resources, and your main goal is to try and capture this green point in the middle, the shrine. You have to use the resources you have to try and capture the shrine. There's also, I'm also thinking that maybe you do gain resources, but you can only spawn them in the middle to capture the shrine or something. I'm not entirely sure what because similar to Lacey's Alert, I don't want there to be ties in this game, because I don't want you to play for however long it is, 30 minutes, an hour, and then have it just be a tie. I really don't like that. I think ties are kind of boring and anticlimactic, similar to what Keith thinks of them. So I'm trying to find a rule to where it's impossible to tie, because obviously you can both destroy one tower and then that's it. I'm still trying to find the rule. It could be next tower destroyed instantly wins. Towers can't attack. Whatever. I don't know. Any sort of ideas for that would be grateful. But right now, I kind of have it where after 10 rounds, you get no more resources. You pretty much exhausted all your forces. Your army is completely tired. There's no more units to send out. And so you just have to use what you have to try and win. Whether it's holding the green objective first, in which case you instantly win. Maybe you can somehow destroy a tower, in case you would win. Just whoever gets a point first suddenly just instantly wins. And the easiest thing to do that would be capturing the shrine, because you instantly get a victory point. The victory point doesn't do anything if you're past or before round 10, because towers will always prioritize over this victory point. I just kind of have it as like, same towers, capture this. If you do, good job, you win. Otherwise, these the church, farm, shrine. They each give you resources to use while you're fighting and all that. So yeah. So this is just the map. There are 3 lanes, like in MOBA. There's the top lane, middle lane, bottom lane. There's also these like side paths you can go down. Like this is the river. Units who can swim can go down the river, and then they get like this little choice here, so they can be safe going down this river. They can maybe come down from behind, or there's like a little split option you can take to quickly, like, oh, I'm gonna swim up here. Actually, I want to go in here. So your opponent has to try and play around the option of you going either way. There are cliffs here. These are cliffs, the brown lines. So a unit that can climb can go here and be like, I want to go up here and capture this objective. Or I can go down here and capture this objective. So units with climbing all of a sudden have 3 options if they're in the middle, and your opponent has to try and play around all of those. Because you can just say, I'll just go here. Or maybe you say down here or up here, so they have to try and play around all that. And similar, like if you're on the opponent's side and you have climb, you can go here and maybe you want to support the units that are pushing down middle. Maybe you just send this guy up here to gain the church for a round. You're like, you know what? Go down here to help push down this big tower, and then your opponent maybe sent a unit up here to try and stop you. And so suddenly this unit's kind of up here is kind of useless. You have this big push down middle, attacking the tower. Or maybe you can go down the river and move here. I actually don't know why you'd want to do that. But maybe you want to do that. Maybe there's like a unit here just constantly shooting your guys. You have a fast moving swimmer, quick swim over here and attack them or something. So yeah, so these little side paths are something MINImax kind of had. You could make paths and all that. I think it's cool little extra options you get. So yeah, there's always good kind of paths. There's a lot of units, and something I'm actually kind of proud of is the dice. So instead of using the cards or something, you instead use dice to represent units. So, for example, the Boar Brothers. Instead of so you'd get, so if you look at the card, it has everything you need. The top right is how many dice you get for summoning the unit, how much it costs to summon the unit, any abilities or passives they get. Boar Brawlers have nothing. They're just the very basic fighters. And then you get their stats. So you get 3 of them. So there you go. Their health is 2. You have 2 health. Set their dice to 2. And that way, you can easily keep track by like, okay, this unit dies, you just take the dice out, put it back in the bag. Or, oh, it took a damage. Instead of doing anything else, you just set the dice from 2 to 1. That okay, this unit has 1 HP. So yes, yeah. So it's very easy to keep track of units. Like each a different color, so you can very easily tell which. Okay, the white dice. Which is the white dice? Boar Brawler. Okay. What is the turquoise dice? The priest or the cleric, and all that. So I think it's very easy to keep track of what units are what, because it's very easy just look at that. What is that? There we go. So very easy to keep track of. And I guess I'll just describe the rules of the game the best I can. So, first off, the big dice is your heroes. we just have Maraca here. And so heroes are this big D20 dice. So we always know which is the hero because they're this really big and unique dice. And your hero... sorry, yawning. Crazy. So your hero is the strongest unit in your army. Strongest unit in the game. They have all these crazy abilities and active, way better stats and everything else. So they are usually always the best thing you have. Just put them down. And then let's say there's hero. So let's go over the phases of the game first. So first is you make a deck. First thing you would have to do is you make a deck. A deck would be a hero you pick. It would be 6 units. We're just going to use 3 for simplicity's sake. This is just trying to show everything off. You would have 6 units though. And then you would have 6 spells or miracles. You would have 6 spells, and then you would pick, and then you would see your opponent's deck before you fight. You say, oh, they have these units, they have these spells, so I will take, and then you take 3 out of your 6 spells to play with. It's sort of like a counter thing, because maybe you have a spell in there just to deal with the thing you can't deal with very well. You have one spell like, this is just for that unit. Oh, they don't have that unit, so I won't play it anymore. I'll just play with these 3. That's just to make it simple. So yeah, you bring your hero of a faction. You pick 6 units of the same faction. Right now there's 2. I'm probably going to make a 3rd one of insects. Pick a hero of a faction, heroes of the same faction, any 6 spells. Pick 3 spells to play with, and then you go on to see who goes first. So, see who goes first, you would just roll a die, say, okay, highest goes first, yada yada. And then you get this big blue block, just to say this guy's first. Because that's just, the person who's going first goes first in every step. Whether it's upside or downside, it's up to the people. I think it's fine, it just simplifies things. So, like a lot. Wow. Okay, really ruining the video. So let's say I'm first. So, first things first is before the game starts, it's the drafting. Drafting phase. We draft, and then we gotta put down our units and say what's what. So since I am first, I have to deploy first. So similar to Legacy's Allure, you have to draft an equal amount or greater food than your opponent, or draft a hero if it's equal. So right now, everything's the same. There's nothing on the board. So I will just say, you know what, I'm gonna draft my hero. I'll put him in the middle. This red line is your base. So you can at the first in the drafting deployment phase, whatever, you can put your units anywhere in this red line. You can put them in the water, put them as far forward as you want, as far back as you'd want. It's up to you. Put them anywhere in this red line. So I just want to put them here and call it a day. Okay, so now I will say I would like to pass. So then it goes up to my opponent's turn. And it's up to him. And he might say, okay, well, he drafted his hero, I'll draft my hero to contest his. I'll put mine in the same spot. And then it will say pass as well. Alright, so now it's back to me. And then now I have all these options. I'm going to say, alright, I'm going to spend 15 food to play these boars. Alright, I'll put these here. Cool, awesome. These are here. And I'm going to have them in the front forward hex. Okay, and then I'll say pass. And at this point, you can kind of. At this point, it's up to the second player's turn because the first player said pass, saying they're done. So if the second player really, really wanted to, they can say pass as well, and the game would instantly start. So there's a big upside for the second player in that they can say, okay, I want to play stuff, because maybe the first player is keeping some of his resources back. Like, okay, maybe he wants to. Maybe I want to save, see what he plays. But the second player can be like, I'm fine with what I have. I'm gonna pass, go on to the next phase, and yada yada. But obviously he doesn't want to pass. He's got a bunch of food. He obviously wants to play some stuff. So I'm just gonna copy the first guy. I'm just gonna play the footmen, which are literally just boar people. They can swim, so I'm gonna put them in the water because they can swim. Alright, so they can swim. So I'm gonna put them in the water. Not here. Put them in the water back here. So that I have this option of going either or. Alright, and then you know what? I want to place some more units. I'm gonna place down some riflemen. So I'm gonna place down some riflemen as well. Alright, they can also swim, so he's gonna put them here. So we have this really big, nasty force here in the water. Alright, he's gonna say pass. Alright, so now as the first player, my opponent passed. So at this point, I can also say pass, and then the game will start. Also, we have a lot of food, so I'm just going to quickly set up a board so that we can go into the next phase. So we can do that. So I can have 60, 75. Right, so I would go down to like 10, I think. I can place down 2, 4, 7 units. Okay. I'm just gonna quickly play some stuff. Sadly, none of the little boars can swim. Because they're boys, they can't swim. They might be able to in real life, I don't really care. So it's 3. 4. 3, 4, 5, 6, and then let's just say 7. This was supposed to be 1 HP. Alright, do that, do that. Yeah, the 1 HP, yeah. Alright, and then over here I can do 2 more squads of this and a cleric, so I'll just. And then just a cleric. Alright. And he's at 1 HP right here. Alright. So this is kind of how things would go. You can have a max of 2 units and a hero in 1 hex. No more, no less. If you have any more, gotta get them out. So this is as much units I can have in 1 hex. Alright. So, we're both done. We both say, alright, I can't do anything more, I have to pass. Then the first player will be like, okay, I can't do anything, so I have to pass too. Both players have passed, so now we go on to the next phase, which is the start of round phase. We go down to, I need to add this in. The round dice. Let's get this up really big so we know. Alright, so this is the round dice. Round 1. At the start of the round, each player gets 20 food and 20 mana. So we would actually get 20 food and mana right away. 20. Actually, there's type on it. 20, yeah. I don't know why that's like that. It should be like this. Okay. So we just get 20 food, 20 mana. Because we don't have any side objectives, that's the base. At round 1. Alright, so now we go back to deploying again, but only this time we have to deploy it at our castle unless otherwise stated. Alright, I'm just going to do something simple. I'm just going to do another boar and squirrel squad right here. Just making it real simple. There we go. And they're going to do the same thing, make it real simple. Another boar and another footman rifleman squad. Right. And something to note, the castle can only have 2 units in their hex too. So you can only summon 2 units at once, otherwise then it's full. So if your units are very cheap, it's very important to constantly send them out because holding on to food might not do anything for you. Otherwise, but you might have some really expensive units in your back pocket so that you can send them out later in the event you accidentally gather too much food or whatever. Maybe you pass, like, okay, I want to see what they play, and then they pass too, and now you just have all this excess food you can't use, and yada yada. Alright, so we've gone to the start of round, and then it's summon phase. We have summoned units. So start of round. Actually, I think it's the miracle phase. Before the summon phase, it's the miracle phase. So you don't snipe the units that just spawned. So let's just have these 3. This is fine. Alright. Alright, so first we would have all these spells and abilities we can use. So we can look at our hero. Do we want to use this ability? I don't think we can't, so we'll pass that. We have our unit's abilities. Do we want to use those? The ram actually doesn't have anything in range or anything to do, so they can't do anything. And then we have miracles. Now this leads to a very diverse set of options and strategies, I think, because you can either focus entirely all of your mana into your hero and just have a couple abilities here and there to sprinkle in the event your hero is dead or whatever. So you can either invest all your mana into your hero and just say, alright, I'm putting all my mana in my hero. These miracles are just for show or for very niche situations that I can't deal with. You can either have all your mana into miracles. Maybe you have really strong miracles. You're like, I just want to use these as much as possible. Zip, zap, zop, blah, blah, blah. Maybe you want to have all your mana into your units. So there's a lot of places you can put your mana. And mana is the main way you interact with your opponent other than just units fighting each other to death. Alright, so look at me, and then like, okay, what do I want to use? Well, I don't really want to use anything, but maybe I want to see what he does. Maybe he does something, and I want to deal with it. As you can tell at the top right, there's the mana cost. It's their effect. And there are these elements on the ground. I'm not sure if I want to go through with it, but in the game MINImax, spells and units would interact with each other, or miracles and spells would interact with each other. In that, for example, trapping roots, those people who played, trapping roots would root the opponent's units. They can't move. But strong winds which is actually just a straw. Okay, I think it was vacuum. It's called vacuum. So trapping roots would root your entire army, and they can't move. And then vacuum, you could put vacuum over your rooted units, and you would essentially blow away all the grass, so then they can move again. I'm not entirely sure if I want to have that kind of stuff in the game, because then it's a lot of complicated rules I'd have to write up and all that. But as of right now, I kind of have it so that if you want to, you can go into that complex route. I also have kind of a side rules for like armor and weapon damage types. If people really wanted to go that route too, I just made it simple, power, health. Everyone does the same amount of damage to each other. But I do have variable rules ready if you want to. Right now, the spells all have a type just because I wrote these when I had that rule. But currently, I don't have it to where spells interact with each other in that way. So maybe I want to save something else. Maybe he traps my unit, and I just want to strong winds them forward a bit. Maybe so. I'm just gonna pass. As the first player, I have to decide first. I am just gonna say, okay, I pass. And then it goes to my opponent's turn. He's like, okay, well, I am going to pass as well. Okay, well, I'm just gonna pass as well. So all the miracles are done. But as for miracles, if you would want to use it, you would just say, all right. Actually, no, you'll use it as a miracle because let's be there. All right, he is going to use trapping roots. So when you use it, when you use a miracle, it actually you tap it sideways, similar to like Magic: The Gathering or other things. So it's sideways, meaning you can't use it again. And then you say, all right, I'm going to trap this unit. Sure. And then you would put like a marker on it, or you would just type it in like, hey, this is rooted or whatever. So coming up with easier ways to do that. But so we'll just say, all right, this guy is rooted in the name, so that when I try and move him, it's like, oh, he's rooted. All right, so now I know this guy is rooted. He can't move. All right, so then he used a miracle. He's gonna pass up to me. Well, I still don't want to do anything. That little mage guy wasn't really a big part of my plan. I'll just leave him be there. He'll come in later when I need him. Alright, so then I'm going to pass two. We've both passed. Miracles are done, and then we would summon stuff. I made the spell miracle phase before units spawn, so you can't spawn camp. Because you could spawn units and be like, okay, now I kill them. And then you can rinse and repeat that if you have the right miracles or something. So, to prevent that, it's summoning it's miracles and spells, summon units so that the units can actually do something first, and then all that. Alright, so we've already summoned units, we did that step ahead, and then we go on to movement. So how movement works is a little complicated, but I kind of had to do this because otherwise there are some very niche situations where it's like, well, how would you resolve this? And I was like, I don't know exactly how would this resolve. So this is just how I came up with it. So how movement works is the player who goes first moves first. Now they move one hex first. So let's look at all of our units. All of our units pretty much have 3 movement, except for the Ram Witch. So this is how it would work. So let's just move up here. We would move 1 hex first. Alright, 1 hex. And then we would move these guys 1 hex. This guy's rooted, so he's done. We move 1 hex. Then we run into the situation of we have too many units in 1 hex. So in that case, we decide which unit is stuck. Because this witch guy is rooted, they actually can't move at all, so we have to say, okay, well, these guys are going to be stuck back here for the round. And this would cost them a movement, so you have to remember that. Move these guys up one, this guy's up one. And you can actually move your guys in whichever order you want. It's not up, down, back, forth, whatever, because as you can tell, I moved these guys up one first, and then I moved this guy up one, so not to have that weird situation like we did up here. But in this case, that was unavoidable. This guy's rooted. He can't move. And so if you would have more than 3 units in one hex, you would have the person in the farthest back simply won't move into that hex. Alright, so I would be done moving, so now it's like, okay, I moved all my guys up one hex, move your guys up one hex. And then we would do that here. And then these guys, he's going to have to look, because he has 3 options here. He's going to say, okay, you know what? I want to really pressure the middle lane. So he's going to say, okay, these guys will move forward one. Alright, so everything has moved up one. And then it goes back to the other player's turn. He would move all of his guys up one. These guys can move up again because there's space. Let's move up one. The other player's turn, they move up one. Well, it's a little time consuming, but it's the best I can do. Alright. So now we go back to me. Okay, these guys started here. These guys can move up an extra space. These guys can move up an extra space. These guys can move up one more space. These guys can move up an extra space. This guy only has 2 movements, so she can no longer move. So now we go on to the other player's turn. Alright. So now we have a weird situation. So for example, these riflemen, so they have a range of 2, which means they can shoot 2 hexes out. So these guys, they see someone, they can attack, so they will not move. Everything else will move. So for example, they'll move back here. Now this is another big reason why I only had 2 units max, because I could actually fit 4 dice in this little hex here and have it make sense. The last 2 dice would be back here. Heroes go on to like this little up and down spot, so we know they're in the same hex right here. God damn it, come on, guy. There we go. These guys won't move because they see someone to attack, so they will not move. This priest will move up. Yeah, priest will move up. And then it's up to you to decide which one wants to go ahead. There's some rules here that we'll get into in a second. The unit that's in the front matters, but we'll just put the priest here because I don't think I care about him very much. Everything's up 1. Now here, obviously I can't move here, so these guys will move here. This is their plan all along. They wanted these guys to move to the sides, but they wanted to maybe say they will not move. Actually, no, we can't do that. Forget when I said that. So, you have to move. You always have to move forward if you can. Alright. Now we go on to... Everything has moved. So now we go on to combat. There's a little graph... No, not a little graph. There's a little thing. You determine who goes first and whatnot. So... The first to attack are always heroes. Heroes will always attack first. So we look at our heroes. Alright, I'm Maraka. 2, 3, 15. His has abilities. This guy is same thing. 2, 3, 15. He's got his abilities. Alright. So heroes will always attack first. And what's unique about heroes is that they will always get to decide who to attack. So for example, Ordo here, Maraka here, Ordo here, he can decide to attack any one of these units. They can attack this guy in the back, they can attack this guy, they can attack Maraka. They will always decide, you can always decide which specific unit they can attack, which is a big upside for heroes. Because maybe there's a specific unit you want to take out, but it's behind the unit that's in the front. So having a hero take them out could be very important. So here, Maraka will attack the swordsman, the pink dice. And another thing to determine is that you can always attack the enemy hero instead of units. So even though the white dice are technically in front, the enemy can always target the hero for attacks. It used to be different, but I decided I don't want heroes to be literally invulnerable. Because there's some situations where the hero is literally that invulnerable. So you can either decide to attack the enemy hero or attack the units. There will usually be some rules for heroes that want to take damage to be the ones you have to attack, or the ones you want to attack because they're too much stuff or whatever. It's it's not the most fine-tuned game. I'm still trying to figure things out. So heroes will attack. The Maraka, who's the red dice, will kill the swordsman. He does 2 damage. These guys only have 2 health. There we go, he's dead. Ordo will attack the squirrel javelineers, as you can tell. So they got unfortunate, which is this is another reason why I wanted to for the movement. So for example, they were back here, but they only have 1 range. So they can't, so when they were moving, they didn't see anyone in range. So they had to move forward. If they were second, they would be safe because they would see, oh, there's people in range, I am not going to move. So going first and second has this big impact on movement. Another big reason why I did this is, for example, let's say it's time for the movement phase, and this was the board. Well, which hex do we go to if we move at the same time? Do we go to this hex? Because this is a bit more unfair for me because now there's a tower in range. Do they go here? Well, I don't know. Which side do we go to? Do we flip a coin? Do we roll dice? Do we just decide? So this gets around that problem of one player moves the units first. You do get into some unlucky situations like this, but I figured this is just a better workaround. This goes around all the niche situations that I've encountered. So he's going to kill the squirrel. Right. Then it goes to buildings. Buildings would attack before the units do. No buildings currently have a target, so we'll just skip past that. And then we go on to ranged units. So the next 3 I have to explain a bit. So it goes ranged units, and then it goes melee units, and then it goes ranged units in melee. So first things first, ranged units will attack. Right, the squirrels have nothing to attack. This squirrel does have something to attack. However, he is considered in melee because there are units in the same hex as him. So he will actually attack last because there are units that are in melee. These guys have a target, and so do these guys. These guys also have a target. All the brown dice have targets, actually. So they will attack. Go over to the riflemen. They have 1 power. So their attacks will just do 1 damage. Okay. So we go over, okay. So these brown dice will attack. They have to attack the white dice this time, because there's nothing else in range. So they will kill a boar. These guys will also kill a boar, because they have in range. And these guys would kill yet another boar. These guys would kill another boar. Alright, so that is all the range units. Now go on to melee. These guys have nothing to attack. These guys have nothing to attack. Melee, combat happens all at the same time. There's no first or second to make it fair. These guys have nothing to attack. These guys have nothing to attack. So now we go on to melee. So these are all the melee units. So it's right here. They would attack at the same time. I'm going to make it so that this... I guess it doesn't really matter. But... yeah, it would not matter here. Yeah. So, they would attack. This white dice would die, and this pink die would have 1 damage on it. Alright. Here we go. That's all the melee. Now we go to the ranged units in melee, which is just the squirrel. Now, now the squirrel, he's going to attack the pink dice. Now, instead of saying, okay, well, I'm just going to have this pink dice also be 1, there's a rule where a damaged dice always has to be the one taking damage. If you've played some war games, this is very similar. You can't just have all your dice in units be damaged, so you have maximum power or damage output. You always have to say, this guy is damaged, so this guy has to be the one that takes damage. So he has to die. You cannot say, this guy takes 1 damage, so you have an extra unit for damage. This makes it so that your units will always be whittled down if they take more and more damage. Alright, so that is combat. Combat has gone through. Then we go on to the end phase, which is, alright, did we mess any rules up? Were there any rules mistakes that we can see right now? And if there are, we go back and try and fix it as best as we can. It's not a problem. And then we go on to objective scoring. Alright. So how objectives work is, so here we have units contesting this. There's no like, I have more units, I have healthy units. It's just, I have a unit here, you don't, and you don't. Therefore, I have the control of this objective. At any point, if there are two units of opposing players on an objective, it is immediately contested. There's no units here, and there's no units here. So currently, all the objectives are currently neutral. There are no objectives currently. Alright. So now we go, so everything is done, so now we go on to round 2. So, at the start of the phase, we get our resources, and now we actually pass the block. So now, instead of Kreia going first and everything, now the other player goes first and everything. We repeat everything we just did, yada yada yada. So we'll just go on to combat, and let's say this is sort of the scenario. Say these die, and it's like this, somehow all these die, yada yada. Now it's kind of just like this. These guys all catch up. Let's just put them there. That guy dies, whatever. It's kind of like this. Everything here died. I don't know if this is accurate or not. I'm just saying this is how it is. We'll just want to explain a couple more rules. Alright. So let's say I am first, I get mana, and let's say I've used all of my spell miracle thingies. Alright. So since I've used them all, I don't have... they're all sideways. So the second all of your spells are sideways like this and they're exhausted, you immediately refresh them all and they're available to be used again. So you can kind of order it in a way to where, okay, I use Trapping Roots, I use Strong Winds, I store up 60 mana, Lightning Strike. All of my spells are exhausted, immediately refresh them, Lightning Strike again. So you can do things like this, where you can immediately use 2 miracles instantaneously, kind of like this. But now my opponent is, okay, well, he just used Lightning Strike twice in a row, he doesn't have it again, I can send out stronger units, because now he has to use his other 2 spells. So that is something you can do. Second, all of your spells are exhausted, you can immediately refresh them. And then, so you can kind of do a thingy where you use one spell twice really, really fast, in case you couldn't. So I think that's pretty cool. Alright, so that's spells. So looking at here, a little bit of trouble. The credit side. So instead of casting abilities, I'm going to, let's just say I have 45. Alright, let's just say I have 45. So, my Ram Witch Doctor, she has 2 abilities. She can heal. She has Curse. And those are her 2 abilities. Heal actually has a cooldown on it. It just says so you can't spam it all. It has a 1-turn cooldown, so you can heal something and then it's on cooldown, to which case you can't use it again. It's just 1 turn. It just means you can use it once, and then I could probably just say you can only use this once around. That would probably solve everything. But Curse, for example, you can use it as many times as you'd want. As long as you have mana, you can do this. So I'm just going to Curse something, which is 5 mana. Because we've summoned stuff, we just went on to, now we're on miracles and spells. No one wants to summon anything. Let's just say that. Alright, so it has 2 range. 4 range. Huh. I had nothing at 4 range. Oh yeah, because I wanted to target stuff like this. Alright, so I can only target, they can only have a minimum of 1, so I actually can't really curse any of these units since they're too weak. But I can curse Ordo. So Ordo will have 1 less power. She's the one longer root, by the way. So he would have -1 power. So now we've added on him just so that we know when you hover over him, he's got -1 power. So instead of doing like 2 damage, he only deals 1. And that will come up very relevant in the round. Right. And now we have 40 mana, which means we can use... Yeah, oh, it's 30. Okay. Well, I thought it was 40 for some reason. Is it really 30? Oh yeah, I know why I did 30. Alright, so it's 30 mana. So now we can use Meow, Maraka's Meow ability. However, it has this little thing called Quick Play on it at the very end, which means I can use it whenever. Quick Play, so even if it's not the spell or miracle round, I can still technically use it. Quick Play is the only time you can use things outside of their phase. Quick Play isn't very common, I don't think. I don't think many things have it. I really wanted to keep things in their own phase, but there are some things that are Quick Play that I thought were necessary to have it for purposes. Oh, yeah, there's also 2 miracles you get on the side. I forgot to mention this. I'm sorry, but you also have 2 default miracles that only affect your general. There is Rest, which means their speed is set to 0 for the round, so they can't move. This is not considered a debuff, so there are some units that are immune to all debuffs. This isn't considered a debuff. So this goes through that. At the end of the round, hero is healed 2. This effect is cancelled if your hero takes any damage. So rest is one of the few ways you can determine your units, or where you're... one of the few ways to protect your hero. That's pretty much almost guaranteed. So sets their speed to 0 so they can't move. You can put them in a safe spot, have them rest, and they will heal slowly, and they will continue on. Pickup is the other thing. Move your hero anywhere on your side of the map can only be used once around. So pickup is, okay, I'm here, and I can put them anywhere on my side, which I've determined to be 1 hex before the objective. So kind of like this. This is my side, this is my side, this is my side, this is my side, this is my side. Anywhere here and back, I can plop them down. I could probably mark them, but I just haven't gotten to that yet. This is kind of just been a very on and off thing for the past, like, half a year or something. Okay, so yeah, pickup and rest are the 2 ways you can protect your hero. They do cost a fair bit of mana, so you can't just use them all willy-nilly, but this goes into another thing of, like, I'm just using all my mana on my hero. This would be ways of doing it. Like, you don't care about your units or your miracles. You just only care about your hero, so you can actually you can pretty much consistently sink all your mana into your hero if that's all you're doing. Alright, so I have 10 mana. Alright, so I'm gonna pass, he's gonna pass, yada yada, okay. So, miracles, we move. Nothing can actually move, other than, I guess, these guys, but yeah, these guys would technically move up 1. There we go. I guess this guy would also move up 1. Alright, so that is all the movement. Actually, this would be a very good time to do this. This is the board state right now, currently. Let's just say that. Oh, why am I yawning so much? God! Alright. Alright. So now going to combat. So first is heroes. Heroes will attack. Maraka is going to kill off one of these swordsmen. Or footmen. And then Ordo, he wants to kill this ranged unit. So let's say he makes a mistake. He forgot he had the -1 power, and he tries to hit the Javelinier. The Javelinier has the passive dodge, all bold and all that. And dodge means the first time a unit is attacked, it's reduced by 1. So Ordo has 1 power. He tries to hit the squirrels. The squirrel dodges it, and so 1 minus 1 is 0. The squirrel takes 0 damage. So Ordo completely misses the squirrel, completely messes up. Now the squirrel's alive, able to do stuff. Alright, so did my stuff, and now we go on to range units. Here, my Javelinier will hit his footman. His footman will attack my Javelinier. However, due to dodge, he will dodge it. And there we go. Down here, attacks will happen. And here, Ordo's going to use one of his abilities called Superior Tactics. Allied unit within 2 range can attack any viable enemy unit this round. So similar to heroes, Ordo can make a unit attack any target. Rather than just the unit that they have to attack, they can attack any viable target. So he's going to target these riflemen here. And he's going to make them actually target these squirrels back here. He's going to make them attack these squirrels. Now, due to dodge, they take one less power bullets only for the first attack, which is important because there are two models, which means there are two attacks coming. So dodge will take place, he dodges one attack, but the next one comes in and he takes out the other one. So dodge only happens at this, only for the first attack each round. Some dice, or some units have multiple attacks. Some dice, if there's multiple dice, each dice is considered a different attack. You know, a bit more kind of complicated, but this is just how I wanted to do it. Okay, so since there's two dice, there are two attacks. The squirrel dodges one. Takes the other attack, dies. Alright, so now we go on to all these other attacks. These two guys will attack and kill this another footman. The priest has no attacks. These guys will just attack and kill the white dice. Alright. So, technically, actually, I forgot. So first section was to be the buildings. This building is technically in range because it's 1, 2. It has 2 range. So he would just poke it for 1. Simple. This guy would technically die to the rifleman. Yada yada. A couple things I'm getting wrong, but again, I haven't really played this very often, but I'm still trying to get the rules down and all that. Alright, so that was the ranged attacks, now we're going to melee. And now Maraka is going to use his power. He is going to use Primal Fury. He's going to make it so that these boars have quick attack, which means they attack first. So now we're on the melee step. All melee attackers will attack. Okay, Maraka gives my guys quick attack, which means before any other melee units attack, they attack first. So they're going to quickly and efficiently take out this here footman. Alright, so before he even gets to attack, we attack him. He is now dead. Huzzah. Alright, so I go to ranged units in melee. It's this guy for 1. There we go. Alright, so now we go on to the end phase where we determine objectives. So I control the church, so I would get 10 mana immediately. I have a unit there, my opponent does not. I control it, I get the objective. Go into the middle. I do not control this because I have units there and my opponent has a unit there, being their hero. Even though I have way more units, I do not control it. I need to completely clear out all of his units to gain control of it. We go down to the farm. My opponent does not control it because he does not have a unit on the farm currently. He may have had more units near it, but he does not have any units on it, which is a very important distinction. You do not permanently control objectives. You have to constantly fight for it. You have to constantly put units on it to get the points. If your unit moves over it, tough luck. I did kind of make it to where I think most units can easily get to it. Like 2 movement units get there, 3 movement units get there. The only ones that have trouble are 4 movement. But 4 units are mainly just to quickly get into combat. They're not really there to capture objectives. So yeah, so 3 movements and 2 movements can easily get there unless they're stopped in combat, in which case you're gonna have to play around that. There are no... Look, why am I yawning so much? Okay, so this kind of explains most of the combat. One more unit I want to share. Yes, excuse me. Is something like this. Just ignore all the text one. So sometimes units have 1 times 3 power. So what this means, so Owl Ranger has 1 times 3 power. This means it attacks once, 3 times. So he attacks 3 times. So for example, let's say it's attacking like these units. Let's say this unit somehow gets 3 units here. It would attack. For 1 damage here, 1 damage here, and 1 damage here. So multiple attacks is quite strong. It also helps bypass most defensive keywords, because defensive keywords are usually the first attack is usually just for the first attack. So if these guys had dodge, it would be okay. Attack, he dodge, attack, hit, attack, hit. So it just helps bypass something, because if it was 3 power, it would just hit this guy and kill him, or whatever. So it's very nice to have these units with multiple attacks. Most units only have 1 attack. Only the very strong and like very damaging units have multiple attacks. But that's just something I wanted to explain, because you probably gonna want to try and use them. You might see that, like, what is this? I'm just explaining. So if it's just 1 power, they do 1 attack and it's for 1 damage. If it's 1 times 2 power, they do 1 attack twice. So it's just 1 damage, 1 damage again, which might be good or bad depending on certain things. Most of the time it's good. I'm constantly changing the rules. I'm going to be changing the rules further down the line, but I just wanted to explain some stuff. Alright. So that's the very basic rules of the game. You would have 6 units again. You would have 6 miracles, but you would draft 3 for more a bit of counterplay and all that. You would pick a hero, and they would all have their abilities and whatnot. If Muraka wanted to, he could have used Meow at any point during the fight phase. He could have used it during the end phase if you really wanted to. I don't know why you'd want to. But, yeah, that's the basic rules. I'm also just not going to go over all the units and just explain to them all the heroes, all the units, all the spells. So, if you just wanted to learn about the game, I appreciate you for watching for this long. It's been an hour, 7 minutes of me just explaining the game. Now I'm just going to go and explain all the rules, all the units and stuff, and all the rules they entail. Some of the lore that I've came up with myself, and all that jazz. Oh, one more thing. So the game goes till 10 rounds. The game goes till 10 rounds. After 10 rounds, the winner is decided. In the event of a tie, you go on to the tiebreaker, which is next person who gets a point just wins. There's no more resources gained. You just have to try and fight for what you can. Sometimes that's easy, sometimes it's hard, because you might have a unit that can instantly destroy a tower, and now they have no way of defending it. Maybe you can instantly catch the shrine, and the enemy can't. But after 10 rounds, I usually say the round's over. After 5 rounds, so round 6 to 10, your resource gain is increased by half. So instead of 20 food, we'll just do half. So instead of gaining 20 food and 20 mana a round, you gain 30 food and 30 mana a round. I did that so that as the game goes on, you can summon more powerful units, stronger units to do stuff, and yada yada. The game's not perfectly balanced. I don't think any game is, but I'm trying my best here. Again, I have very few feedback and all that, but if people find an interest in this game, I would be more than happy to come back and continuously update it for you guys. This is just a free game that I made myself, and I just want people to try it out. Alright, so let's just go over some of the lore of the factions. I only have 2 currently. If this game gets enough traction, I have an idea for a 3rd. It's going to be bugs. Alright, so let's just explain the lore. So the lore of the game is actually you are 2 children playing a game. These are just toys that you're playing with. These are just rules that you and your friend came up with, and you're just playing a game. That's why you can pick up your heroes. That's why you can cast all these crazy spells wherever you want. That's just why we use dice, is they're toys. So the lore is you're just 2 kids playing a game, really, yada yada, and then all the heroes are just like pets or people they have in their life. So like Maraka is a cat. Maraka is their cat. It's their pet cat. Ordo is their father, and stuff like that. All these are just like a kid's imagination. They're just playing a cute little game. Yeah, so that's the big lore. Like the whole point of the game is that you're just kids playing. But the lore of the actual like factions is Maraka. So there are currently 3 tribes of Kreia. That's their big faction name. But there's 3 tribes. One is led by Maraka. One is led by Finuki. One is led by Nia. It's land animals, sea animals, and air animals. Each one of them is the leader of their respective tribe. Maraka is known for his ferocious fighting style, how he's always willing to fight, how he seems to get invigorated as fights go on. Yeah, that scene with Lust for Battle. As enemies start dying, he starts healing himself up, and yada yada. So Maraka gained his leadership by defeating the previous leader in one-on-one combat, and he has been seen as being a great leader, leading his troops, fighting with his troops, leading them very efficiently with his ferocious, aggressive fighting style. And everyone sees him as currently a great leader. His abilities are Lust for Battle, Primal Fury, and Meow, all caps. Lust for Battle just means whenever an enemy unit dies, he heals. Quick distinction. So, for example, let's take the footmen. No pink dice, so the boars, whatever. So the footmen unit has 3 dice. Each dice is considered a model, but all 3 dice is considered a unit. This is a very big distinction. He does not heal 1 for every model that dies. He heals when the whole unit dies. Some rules, this is gonna matter. It's not it's not each model, each dice that dies, he heals 1. Once the whole unit dies, he heals 1. Made it like that so that he doesn't heal out of control, because there are some units that have a ton, like 3, I think is the most. And him healing 4 for that, which are usually very weak, seem too strong. So I just said, okay, each unit dies, he heals 1. There's just a little bit of extra healing he gets here and there that can help him stay in the fight for a bit longer. That's important. So as enemy units start dying, he starts healing slowly. Primal Fury, we saw a unit with an allied unit within 2 range. He can give him quick attacks so he can attack really fast. One quick distinction, I forgot to say this, but the river and the mountain block vision, so you can't have a unit here attack up or down. They have to attack in the same lane. Because since rivers and mountains block, it's this really big line of sight thing here. So this is a mountain. This guy cannot see up here because his vision is blocked. So yeah, his vision is currently blocked. And that works for with abilities too. So for example, Maraka can't buff up here or down here if he's here. He has to be picked up and placed down first. And then he can use his ability to buff things. This makes placement and extra movement quirks kind of important. And yada yada. Another thing is you can never run backwards. You have to run forwards. You cannot say your hero runs backwards. He has to move forward. This way units are always fighting each other. There's always something you have to do, and all that. There's no way you can run back other than picking them up. But in that case, it will immediately start running forward. Which is also why the movement phase is after the miracle phase. So you can't move forward, pick up hero, move him back. You have to move him back, and then he runs forward. You know, you can still do pick up, move forward. But if he moves forward after you pick him up, there's a chance that he gets into combat, he takes some damage, yada yada yada. So the game's always going to be pushed forward. You can't just have a huge army stocked up first and then try and win that way. The combat's always moving forward and all that. Right, so Maraka is considered a commander. There's like classes kind of put up. There's the commander, which is Maraka. He has very average stats: 2 power, 3 movement, 15 HP. That's very average for all the heroes. Technically, average HP for heroes is like 10, but 15 is the middle of the road because some heroes have 20. So Maraka can very easily stay in the fight. He's very big on buffing units with Meow and Primal Fury. Constantly trying to get a small lead. He can fight pretty well, and so he is considered a commander. The other 2 heroes, one's Finuki. He is, for those who know me, he was my favorite, but his whole shtick is he's the leader of the water animals. He got this power by learning how to wield lightning. He's very crazy. He's very not right in the head. He rose to power by simply killing all the leaders of the water tribe with lightning. He simply just walked up, electrocuted them all, and now everyone's too scared to fight him because of his sheer raw power. He's not the best leader, but he doesn't have to be the best leader because the only thing Kreia cares about is who's the strongest. Finuki is by far the strongest. Finuki is considered a mage. Mages excel at burst damage and kind of like a bit of long range damage, not as kind of mid ranged damage, I would say. Like short ranged burst damage, that's more like it. They're not melee, but they usually don't have a whole lot of range. They're focusing on burst damage, just a lot of damage all at once rather than damage over time. His first ability is he's a lightning lizard. He can swim, and his attacks are magical. Magical means that it goes through defensive buffs. So, dodge, as we saw, magical attacks go through dodge. there's block, which is another very common one. It would go through block. So it goes through any of those defensive passives, or just passives in general. So he's actually the only hero that can swim, I think. So him being able to go into the river is very cool. I don't think it does much, but it's what he did in MINImax, so that's what he does. He was the only hero that could swim. His second ability is Zap. Finuku gains +1 power each round. I think it should say at the start of each round, but yeah, so at the start of the round, he gains an extra power. As you can tell, his power is very low, but as the game goes on, he will get more and more power. In the game, he got this power by being hit by lightning attacks constantly. But due to how I had to make the game, you get mana way slower in this game than in MINImax's. In MINImax, you could consistently hit him with lightning to give him more power, give him more stacks of lightning and all that. But for this, I had to settle on he just gains power each round, kind of like he's a conductor, slowly gaining more and more electricity. But his power is lost on death, similar to MINImax. When he died, he started from 0. You had to protect him very much to keep him alive, so he could get more and more stacks. And eventually, he starts one-shotting everything, similar to this. Then, when Finuki is picked up, he deals half his power rounded up to an enemy model within 1 range. It says model, not unit, so only 1 dice. Similar to MINImax, each unit or each hero that was picked up had like a damaging effect, whether they were picked up or dropped. Melee units, when they were dropped, they would do damage and stun for a little bit. Ranged units, when they were picked up, they would deal damage and all that. This is just a little nod to that, mainly because I couldn't think of what else to put there, so I was like, I'll give him this ability. It was like a little nod. That's because picking him up seems like something most people would want to do with him anyway, so... But this would also encourage you to keep him in combat, because when you pick him up, you get a little bit more extra value, because he's doing damage. So it's just kind of just like, hey, don't sit back and charge him up all the time. One, I don't think that's a good idea anyway, because then you don't have a hero helping you out. And 2, you'll be losing a lot of damage by not having him at least near the fight. No, Zap should say at the end of the round. Because if it was at the beginning, he'd start with 2 power. And I don't want him to start with 2 power, I want to start with 1. So yeah, and then his ability, I changed it. It should actually cost 60 mana. Because his ability is Chain Lightning, similar to MINImax. When he attacked, it would chain to multiple units. I wanted this rather than his other ability, just because I figured it'd fit him more. Also, come on, like Chain Lightning. Chain Lightning is very well known. So Finuki gains an extra range till his next attack. That's what it should say. And his next attack deals damage to all enemies in the same hex. I think that should say models, because I wanted it to be a really big attack. Or would it? No, it would be units, yeah. Yeah, so... Oh my god. What the hell's wrong with me? So yeah, Chain Lightning would give him an extra range until the next round. I don't want that to be forever. And his next attack would hit all units in the same hex. So if your unit has one really big push, there's a hero, he has 2 units. This would hit the hero and the 2 units. And if it's late game, then this is pretty much gonna deal a huge chunk of damage to the enemy hero. It's going to kill two enemy. It's going to kill two models, almost guaranteed, because at that point he's going to have 5-6 power, which one shots everything. And with the extra range, it means he can do it from a bit of a safer range. So yeah, he has Wizard, very short range. I think the other one's a bit more of a long-ranged nuker, but I'm changing them currently. I'm still changing them. So yeah, that's Finuki, the leader of the water animals, and then Nia's the leader of the air animals. The air animals are mainly just there to be scouts and more of a like aerial bomber units. The air units are mainly the air tribe is mainly fast. They're mainly there to like get to places quickly, scout out the enemy, quickly pick off maybe key targets with like bombing attacks or like rock attacks. I think they just use bombs, or rocks and whatever. And Nia is the leader because of how quick she is. She is very deadly. She's very graceful, and it's very hard to catch her. So Nia's passives are graceful movements. She's a dancer, and she's a peacock. Peacocks are known for being very graceful, and with their little feathers, things kind of confusing animals, I think. Not concerned about, but anyway. Nia has flying. Flying means you can move over any and all terrain or movement obstacles, so it doesn't slow her down. She has dodge, which means the first attack she gets, she takes one less. I thought it was very thematic. She's very fast, and Nia is immune to slows, so nothing can really slow her down or stop her. She's very quick and agile. Her other passive is on target. Nia's a ranger class. They're mainly used for ranged combat and single target damage. And on target reflexless, her attacks do an additional damage for each consecutive hit she does on the same target. And her attacks cannot be blocked. So block is a defensive keyword, and she can go through that because I think you can give people block or something. No, shield, that's what it is. Shield. They can get shield's block attack. So her attacks cannot be blocked by any means. And it's very good because it means she's very easily going to kill her target when she has him in her sights. In her last ability is Aerial Barrage. She gains an extra attack, so her power would be 2 times 2. She gains an extra range, so 3 range, which is really big. And she can't be targeted by non-flying melee units for the round. This is just reflecting on her flying high in the sky. She can't be targeted by them because they can't whack her with their melee weapons. So yeah, very fast moving, very hard to catch. Only 10 HP though. With most, she won't be able to last for very long if she's caught out though. But it's very hard to catch her out because she has all these ways of getting away, moving to different lanes maybe, and all that. Then we have the last two. There's Kaya, who is part of Maraka's tribe because she's a land animal. She's a bunny. So Kaya was the daughter of the chieftain that Maraka killed. Maraka killed Kaya's dad to gain chieftainhood over the land animals. Kaya is very upset with him. However, she's hiding the fact that she hates him and wants to kill him to gain chieftainhood from him. She's pretending she's happy for him and all that. Saying her father was weak and all that, but she's just saying that like she can eventually set up a kill on Maraka. Muraka, as you can tell, she is an assassin. She is a master assassin. And that is her class is like duelist or something. Um, they are very much about killing other heroes. They're very good at just walking up to them, dealing a ton of damage to them, overwhelming them with damage, and with a couple passives and all that to keep them fighting. Her passive is in the shadows. She has +1 power, 1 in stealth. I'll move the camera. She starts the game with stealth, and she gains stealth if she didn't attack anything last round. And she has climbing. So +1 power means she would kind of have 3 times 2 power. So 3 damage for 2 attacks, which is quite a lot. Not very many units have more than 3 health. And the most healthy unit has 6, so if she's stealth, she pretty much guarantees a kill. Unless they have some sort of keyword, but it's very hard for Kaya not to kill her target with 6 power. She starts the game with stealth just so that she starts the game with it. And then if she didn't attack anything last round, she gains stealth. So if she goes a whole round without attacking, she gets stealth. And her other passive is a downside. So the duelists are the only ones with a downside passive, mainly because they're so heavy on damage that I figured that they could have a downside and still be strong. So Kaya is a perfectionist. When Kaya damages a unit but doesn't kill it, they become her target. So if she attacks a unit and it doesn't kill them, then that's her target, and she's not going to stop until she kills her target. Kaya ignores all orders until she kills her target, and Kaya prioritizes her target for attacks. So prioritize means if this unit is able to attack that unit, they will. So if she can attack her target in any way, shape, or form throughout the whole round, she will do those actions to attack them. And she ignores all orders until she kills her target, so you can't pick her up, you can't tell her to rest. She will ignore them until she kills her target. Alright, so as you can see, Kai is very much wanting to go into battle, kill a couple units, maybe back off, get stealth again, rinse and repeat, kill a couple units, picked up, back off. The second she starts attacking a really tank unit like Muraka, all of a sudden she can't kill it, and then now she just really wants to kill Muraka because she failed to kill her target, and she's a perfectionist, so she wants to finish the job. Don't worry though, because her ability is Smoke Bomb. Now the duelist's ability is usually just a way to get around her downside. So Smoke Bomb means she gains stealth and she will follow orders. So if she's in a bad spot, Smoke Bomb means she gains stealth, which means she can't be targeted, and then she will follow orders again, which means you can pick her up. That's 45 mana combo, but if you want to pick her up afterwards, so it's a very big investment, but I would say losing your hero is very, very bad, especially for 3 rounds. I forgot to say that. If a hero dies, they respawn after 3 rounds. So at the end of the 3rd round, they come back. So that's Nia. And then last but not least is Murata. Murata is kind of his own little area. Murata was the first chieftain of Kreia. He was the first one to be the leader of all 3 tribes at once because he united Kreia before Kreia was just a bunch of wild animals. There was no order. There were a couple leaders and tribes that were constantly fighting each other. And Murvada told them, "Hey, we need to stick together. Uh, these humans are defiling our lands, which is why they're fighting the humans or Eli. Hey, these humans are defiling our lands. They're too strong for each of us to take them on our own. But if we work together, we can take them all out." So Murvada united all the tribes. He fought back against Eli, and in his dying moments, his all the tribes were heavily outnumbered. They were taking heavy casualties, and then Murvada was the one to hold the line long enough for everyone to come out. So he eventually died. However, he now wanders Freya's territory as a ghost, where people come to him for guidance. He'll come to those who really need him. And he is a very not good sight to see, because he is just a ghost. Murvada is a tank. Tanks have the most health with 20. They have a lot of defensive keywords and all that. However, they are very slow with only 2 movement, and they only have 1 power. As I wanted tanks to just be tanks. But I just wanted them to be, I'm here to take damage. So his passive are Spirit Guard. Murvada has Tough, which means the first attack he gets is reduced to 1. So if he takes 6 damage at once, it's reduced to 1. If he takes 1 damage, that's the first attack, it's reduced to 1, doesn't do anything, but it still procs Tough. And he's immune to debuffs and disables. He's too big, mainly. If you've played the game, Murvada was actually immune to a couple disables because he was so goddamn big, because he was an elephant. His other passive is Even in Death. Murvada grants all allies in 1 range Spirit Guard when he dies. Murvada respawns 1 turn faster. So instead of responding in 3 rounds, he respawns in 2 rounds. And Even in Death means even if Murvada dies, he's still protecting his people by giving him his Spirit Guard buff, which gives him Tough and immune to debuffs and disables. It's a nice little buff. It's useful in some units, not so useful in others, like the squirrels, because they only have 1 health anyway. Tough doesn't do anything to them with them. And then his ability is I will protect my people. All enemies able to attack Murvada this round do so. So instead of enemy being like, oh, I'm not going to attack Murvada, I'm going to attack his units because it's an option, Murvada will just say, no, you're going to have to attack me. I have a really big health pool. I have these offensive keyword. So all units that have to attack me will. He might take a ton of damage, but that's the whole point of him. Your units might be able to kill off a lot of his units, knowing that you can put a lot of very squishy units with him too, because they have to attack him, which means they can easily go in, do a ton of damage and all that. So Murvada's very good at being a tank. As for like the kids side lore, Maraka's their cat. Finuki is our pet lizard that likes to hang out in the water and all that. Just their pet lizard. Nia is a pet bird that they have. Kai is a pet bunny. And Murvada is just because of their grandpa. Their grandpa's favorite animal was an elephant, so that's kind of just their grandpa. Ordo. And this is Eli. Eli is all 1 faction. I'm still working on the heroes here because I'm not entirely comfortable with them. But I'm still working on them. So all this isn't final. I'm just explaining some stuff, letting the game be known. And also, I want to really drag out the video so you guys actually think this is the Season 2 Legacies Alert video. Yeah, the April Fools. Right, so Ordo, the Supreme General, his role is General, similar to Maraca. His whole shtick is buffing units and having just regular stats. His first ability is Unbreakable. Ordo is immune to all debuffs and disables, similar to Bravada. But yeah, he's immune to all debuffs and disables, so you can't debuff him. Which actually means in the tutorial earlier that wouldn't have worked because he's immune to him, to the debuff I gave on him. But it's fine, we've already gone through that. And his ability is Superior Tactics. As we saw, it makes it so that one of his units can attack any viable target, which is very strong, as you can see. I think that's the main reason you want to take him, is that. And his ability is Rally to Me. All of his units gain an extra 10 HP. I cleanse all debuffs and disables. Quick play. It should also say he can use it while debuff, but I think since he's immune to all that, I didn't put on. But yeah. So Ordo's main use is keeps his enemies alive with Rally to Me. Because an extra health can actually do a lot. Because 1 HP units suddenly get double health, which is huge. You might be able to survive a whole attack, so Rally to Me can be useful. And also 2 range means it can affect a lot of units, which means a lot of health, really big push coming in. Ordo is a general. And for kids wise, Ordo is their father. This is their father. 2P the Frost Archer. This is the Ranger, similar to Nia. His whole shtick is ranged attack damage. His first ability is Frostbite. Enemy model struck by 2P's attacks attack last in their attack order. And he has Quick Attack. I gave him Quick Attack and not Nia just because I thought Nia was more movement based and 2P was more quick with his bow thing. So 2P, he does have a nice little debuff there, in that he's a Frost Archer, as you can tell. So he has a nice little debuff there in that he can make certain enemies attack last. So, they might have a really big, tough enemy unit. You can attack it real quick, give it a nice little debuff, and all that. Frozen Heart. 2P's immune to negative ice effects. So it'd be like if 2Ps go against each other. They're immune to Frostbite and all that. And he has Frozen. And then enemies attacking 2P lose an attack. Minimum of 1. So if they're trying to attack 2P and they have 2 attacks, they can only attack him once because he's cold. I'm not entirely happy with 2B. I wanted to give him an attack buff of some kind. His main thing is his ability. As you can tell, 2B's next attack does double damage. It's magical and freezes its target for the turn. So Absolute Zero does double damage, which is big. It freezes the target, which means they can't do anything. Nothing can interact with them either. But I wanted to give him like a pass. I think I wanted to give him like a passive that increases his damage, because right now he's kind of just like a debuffer. I'm fine with that, but I may or may not change 2P in the future, because I think instead of 2P is immune to negative attack, or instead of enemies attacking 2P, I think it would be cooler if units he attack also lose an attack. So the unit he's attacking is just screwed. They lose an attack and they attack last. Trasus, lore-wise, 2P is their uncle. Same with Trasus, these are just their uncles. Trasus, the Undying Gladiator, he is their duelist. His ability is Undying Rage. When Trasus would die the first time each life, he instead goes into an Undying Rage, gaining. He cannot die, he's immune to all effects, and he attacks twice as much. So, immune to all effects is literally all effects. You can't heal him, you can't do anything. So if you're trying to heal him, he ignores that. If you're trying to buff him, he ignores that. He's just so angry that he ignores everything. So Trancers naturally has 2 attacks, so he does a lot of damage. If you would die, he suddenly is attacking 4 times, which is 8 damage, which is enough to kill pretty much anything. That's a ton of attacks, hitting him at once, blah blah blah, whack 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 whack. Very, very dangerous. And then Glory and Death is when he's at 1 HP. He cannot be healed and cannot be picked up. And this is just his downside. When he's at 1 HP, he wants to die, essentially. He's like, okay, let me die. I want to die. And then his ability is Rage. He goes into an Undying Rage for the round. So if you have the mana, you can keep him in a rage, constantly attacking and all that. So he's a very good mana sink. Like if you have a ton of mana, you can just dump all of that into his rage ability. And again, there's some balancing. I might increase it to 40 just because of that reason. Because him being, because if you save up 100 mana, I think you can have him be a rage for like literally the entire round. Like if you just never use mana, you literally be immune. You literally just be immune to everything and not be able to die. So I might increase it to 40. I don't know. A lot of changes I'd be making, but yeah. Tress is the duelist. He is the kid's uncles. Edel. The Paladin Princess. This is their tank. Their first ability is Holy Shield. Edel can only be attacked by each model once each round. So similar to Tupi, that we can only be attacked. If he's attacked, they lose an attack. Edel can only be attacked once. So very big downside for Trancers because he's only gonna hit him once. Essentially, she gets attacked once, and then all other attacks fail against her. She has her other ability is Healing Aura. Friendly units in the same hex as Edel heal 1 HP each round. And her ability is Divine Intervention. 30 mana, 1 range, which is just, we'll see. Friendly units are healed by 2 HP, which means units within 1 range are healed by 2. Edel is immune to all damage and harmful effects for the round, and it's quick play. The one thing I would change about Edel is I would give her, like, you have to attack her first kind of ability. Similar to Ordo. I don't know exactly how I would do it, but her Healing Aura is very nice because you can constantly heal units up each round. There are some other ways to give units temporary HP so that they don't die instantly. But Edel's also really good at just holding onto an objective because it's very hard to kill her. Because her Healing Aura also affects her if she is a friendly unit. So it's very, very hard to kill her because she has a lot of health. She can only attack her once each round. She's constantly healing herself. And in the event she's going to take a lot of damage, she can use Divine Intervention, which heals her. And she's immune to literally everything for the round. So yeah, very, very hard to kill Edel. And Edel is the kid's mother. Shinen, the Fire Fanatic. I am very much going to change her because she has a lot of old mechanics. I haven't gotten around to her yet. But her main shtick is that she does a lot of small damage, so she can clear hordes very efficiently. If there's a lot of dice in one unit, she's going to be very good at dealing with them. But yeah, there's something about fire damage and water and all that, which I'm not doing. So I'm going to change her I'm going to change her next. I've gone to pretty much everyone except for her. I'd mainly just make it so that her damage can like maybe carry over or something and all that. But yeah, Shinen is their mage. She's mainly going to be about lots of small damage. Her Mega Fireball explosion is going to be the same thing. Just able to clear out one really, like a ton of small units out and all that, yeah. But lore-wise, Shinen is the kid's sister. She is a firefighter. And like the very older sister, she's a firefighter. And fired. Thought that, yeah. Right, and then as for the units and all that, we're at about a minute and a half. 1 second. Alright, sorry. Okay, so these are all the units. I'm just going to spread them out. Because they're kind of very easy to explain. I don't want to go over them as much as I did the heroes. Alright. Squirrels, I've explained, is a very cheap unit that just got some very basic stats. A nice defensive keyword. Krea's theme is aggression, mainly about speed, getting in there, and doing damage. Yeah, Squirrel's Javelins kind of represent that fact they have dodge, so they can easily walk up into friendly fire or into fire, dodge a couple attacks, and then start pounding on the enemy. Ram Witch, as we saw, is their healer. Very much trying to keep their team alive. Has a small damaging attack. Not that important. Main thing is heal and curse. Curse, able to really reduce multi-attacks by a lot by reducing the damage. Heal just keeps a couple of their units alive. It's just their healer. Boy Brawlers is a very swarmy unit. Not a lot of power. Health is alright. And you get 3 of them, so 6 health for 3 models. They're just very effective as a basic frontlining unit. Weasel Pathfinder is a very, very cheap unit who runs around, and he can give units pathing, so he can do some shenanigans there. Not very strong, he just kind of just runs up and try and do stuff. They have climbing and drop troop. Drop troop means you can put them anywhere in your base, which is the red diamond. So they can easily like drop into the front line, quickly move up, and do some stuff. The monkey rock slingers. These are their first siege tower killers. Siege weapon means they will prioritize siege weapons first, which means if they can attack a tower, they will. And their attacks deal double damage. So 1 power goes up to 2. Otherwise, they're just weaker versions of the Javelineers. They don't have dodging. They can climb. So they're kind of similar, but not having dodge is a very big downside. So it's up to you. Both are very similar. I think the Javelineers are a bit better because of dodge, because that means they can do better against more ranged units. I think most ranged units have 1 power, or something of the sort. The Snake Hexer is quite powerful. This is like a smaller mage. Has magical attacks and dodge. Super slithery and hard to hit. And it has Hex. Target enemy unit cannot be healed or buffed this round. Very strong. Especially if you hit like heroes. Like if you hit Trasis with this, then it's a very big hit. So yeah. And of course, can't guarantee you against them, but Snake Hexer is mainly just like some decent damage for a range, and it has a cool little ability on it. Troglodyte is like a more of an expensive frontlining unit. They do a good bit of damage with 3. They have quick attack, which means they are usually killing 1 or 2 units before they even get attacked. Their health is alright. They can swim. They're kind of fast, so it's just a very all-around good unit right there. Owl Ranger. And it's a very, very strong range unit they have. It has flying and dodge, so it can fly over obstacles. Dodge means it can dodge an attack. And this unit can attack as a melee unit. If it does, it loses 1 attack. And enemy units can't dodge this unit's ranged attacks, so can't dodge him. He's too good of an archer. Has 3 attacks that deal 1 damage. In MINImax, they had a tri-attack, which is why I did that. I gave him flying because it's an owl. I give him dodge because I don't know, I just wanted to give him dodge. It's a very strong, expensive unit. The Moose Rider. Alright. The Moose Rider is their cavalry. So their passive charge means if they have fully moved their max speed, they are now charging. So for the Moose Rider, if it moved 3, it is now considered charging. And it's considered charging until it's not charging anymore. So first spawn moves 3, it's charging and it's charging and it's charging and it's charging. Even if it only moves 2 hexes next round, it's still considered charging. If this unit charged, stun all enemies in the same hex before attack starts. Similar to MINImax, they have like a little jump attack that would knock enemies up and stun them for a bit, so something like that. Cavalry is a very strong unit, of course. Being able to stun all enemies in the same hex is quite big. So if they have a big pile of melee units, they're all stunned. It means you're going to freely whack them. And they have quick attack, which means they attack first anyway. So even if they don't charge, it's still a kind of good unit. Saber-Tooth Hunter. This is an anti-hero unit. So for every reason you're having trouble dealing with heroes, I gave them an anti-hero unit, which do better against generals, heroes. So this unit prioritizes and does double damage to generals, so they're very, very good at killing them. Quite expensive of 25 food. They only get 1, so. And his ability is Pounce. This unit moves to target unit's hex, attacks them, and prevents them from attacking or moving or attacking this round. So, you kind of use this to get onto an enemy, you do damage, and then later in the round you can attack them again. So very good at killing one specific unit, like a hero. Oh, it's not supposed to have 4, it's supposed to have 4 speed. So it's it's not 4 range, it's 4 speed. I need to change that. So yeah, Saber-Tooth Hunter is pretty much only used against melee heroes because otherwise I think for him being a tank, it's not that strong. It's only 1 of him, 4 HP is not a lot. He would rather have the brawlers because they actually do more damage and have more health for a much cheaper cost. But against heroes, he's very scary because you can easily pounce on them. They can't move anymore. You can do damage, which is 4. Attack round, he hits them, 4 damage again. The next round, they can do the exact same thing. But otherwise, they're not very. Saber-Tooth Hunter is pretty much just for heroes. They're not very strong against other units. The Guerrilla Fighters. This is their 50 food unit. I think each one has 1 50 food unit, yes. So this is their strongest non-hero unit, which is the Guerrilla Fighters. You get 2. They have 50 food, which is a lot. they're tough, they can climb, and this unit attacks all enemy units in the same hex. So if they have a hero and 2 units, it attacks all of them. And they have 3 power, 3 speed, 6 HP. 6 HP and tough is very hard to crack. It's usually at least multiple units have to attack them or whatnot. Being able to attack all enemies in the same hex means they're very tough to deal with because they can easily kill multiple units at the same time. There's 2 of them too, so yeah. So usually they just come in, they just wipe a whole hex, and then they keep moving. Very, very strong and tough unit. A Chameleon Ambusher. This is kind of an alternative to a ranger unit. They have magical attacks, they have dodge. This unit has stealth, it has 1 extra attack and 1 speed. And ambush is this unit gains stealth. So there's a little thing where if they're attacking something, you can easily give them ambushed, where they can attack faster and whatnot. Stealth, I can't remember. Stealth was kind of complicated, but I believe I made it so that stealth doesn't work if they're in melee. So if you can't just constantly ambush and just say, okay, this unit's immortal, essentially. It does not work if they are in melee combat. So if they're in melee combat, you use ambush, they can still see them, and they just whack them to death. Anyway, so it's mainly just like a surprise fact of like, okay, I want to capture this objective, or hey, someone's coming, let me ambush real quick. They'll walk to me, and then I'll hit them for a lot of damage. Otherwise, it's just kind of a slight upgrade to Squirrel Javelineers baseline, because they get magical attacks, and they get an extra speed for 5 extra food, if you want to use them like that, but they have another option otherwise. Giant Eagle. I gave each faction 2 custom units because I wanted it to be an even 20. The Giant Eagle, you get 1 of them for 30 food. He's a flying and assassin. Assassin means they prioritize lower health units first. So if they can attack lower health units, they will. This even bypasses the frontline rule. So like if there's boars and squirrels, that example, it'll go past the boars and kill the squirrels. They'll even try and move through if they can. So Giant Eagle is very good because it's flying, which means it can fly over units. It's not stopped by anything. So it can fly to their enemy backline. With its assassin, it'll target them first, and then it's 2 times 2 power means it usually kills their backline really easily. So if there's a backline unit that you're having trouble with, you can easily fly it over, attacks them, kills them really good, and then now you have a Giant Eagle to attack things. The Bear Geomancer. This is a very good frontlining unit. It's 1 of them for 30 food. He's a drop troop, so you can put him anywhere in your base. Very important for a tank because they're slow as hell. Only 2 speed, just putting them essentially an extra round of movement. It's very nice. This unit attacks when spawned, so you can drop them on an enemy unit and he'll attack right away. This unit damages all enemy models in the same hex when it attacks, so very powerful effect. Similar to MINImax, he had like an AoE attack. I think so when I did this. So yeah, he's very good against a large swath of small HP units. So if they have like 6 squads of boar brawlers, you can drop them in. He attacks, kills them all. And then he has an ability called Rock Shield. Target unit gains shield for their turn. Shield means the next time you attacked, it blocks all of his attacks. So there's bound to be a really big attack coming in, or you just need a little bit of extra health. You can quickly use Rock Shield. They block the attack. Boom, he is good. So very good anti-AoE unit and a solid tank because of Rock Shield. The Frog Cannon is their more expensive siege unit. And he does Siege Weapon. He can swim, which is very cool. He can quickly swim into the water and then try and set up an attack. He's also a very good siege weapon because he actually outranges the castle and the tower. So if you're going straight for the tower, this is how you would do it with the frog cannon, because its range outranges the towers and stuff. So he gets siege weapon, which means he prioritizes towers and he does double damage to them. And his ability is tongue grab, which I think is pretty funny. Target model is moved to this unit's hex. If it was flying, it takes 2 damage. So if a unit's in trouble, you can actually use this tongue grab to pull them back to kind of safety, and be safe there. Or then maybe they move up a bit, be in a nice safer spot. You can target your hero, pull them back. They're safe. You can even target enemies too. So if there's like an enemy, you can pull them forward to your army. Maybe there's like some range units that can take them out, so you can get a free kill that way. And then it's not in melee anymore, then they can attack regularly. So, mainly use it against towers. I think its tongue grab ability is very funny because if it's flying, it takes 2 damage. Because it's a frog. I thought that was pretty funny. Because frogs eat like bugs and all that. So he would do a ton of damage to them, and then maybe have them take them out. Like for example, if the frog cannon and the giant eagle were against each other, the frog cannon could try and tongue grab the giant eagle first, and then maybe you have a squad of the squirrels behind him that can kill the giant eagle before the frog cannon dies. It's a nice, cool little combo you can do there. Okay. Fish Thug. This is just a slightly different frontline unit. A bit more expensive than the boars, but they have better stats and 2 power, 3 HP. They can also swim. So boar brawlers are much better against like big single target enemies. Like against trying to think of one, like maybe heroes, because that's 3 rounds. Or something. I'm trying to think of a good example, but I can't think of one right now. But yeah, boys is just cheaper. They have 3 of them, so really big single target attacks are worse against them. Fish thugs have that extra health and an extra power, which means it's kind of the same stats as the boars. If you really think about it, they have 1 extra damage against 1 single target. Can be good or bad, but they do have a 3rd HP, which is a lot because most things have, I think, 2 power. 3 power is very rough to get to. Then we have the Crack Warrior, which is their basic frontline unit. So he has an ability called Frontline. Frontline means units can decide to stay behind him instead of moving forward. So, for example, let's take the Owl Ranger. The Owl Ranger has 3 speed, and the Croc Warrior has 2 speed. So if they were on the board, the Owl would walk past him. However, with the Frontline ability, the Owl can decide not to move past him and just sit behind him. So Frontline is the main reason of how you would get like a big push going. I think there's only 1 frontline unit in each faction. These guys might have 2. I can't remember. I have to check. I think they have 2. Yeah. So Clock Warrior is just a big frontline unit. It's got a lot of health. Its combat stats are alright. 2 damage is whatever. Its main aspect is he has 6 HP. And he has tough, so he can take some damage and just a bit more survivability there. Cat Assassin is kind of a mini Kaya. He's an assassin, stealth and climb. So stealth means they're untargetable and they can move through units. And assassin means they target lower health units. So while they're stealth, they can quickly move through units to the lower health units and then try and take them out. I'm gonna write a big keyword thingy once if people start playing this. The bunny chasers are just very quick units. They have dodge and quick attack, so they're mainly just like, I need some damage, send them out real quick. They'll pop up, do their damage really quick, probably die, but yeah. Just very, very cheap units to quickly get out. And the Rat Bombers is another siege unit. Its main thing is that they die, is that they're very cheap for their damage. There's two of them. So you can quickly walk them up and quickly blow something up. If they happen to get to the tower, that's 8 damage, so it's quite a lot. And models on this unit die when they attack, and they attack when they die. So I think it's a bit weird, but essentially, if they were to die, they blow up and they attack. They attack first, and when they attack, they die. But because there's kind of a infinite loop there, because he attacks, he dies. Oh, because he died, he attacks. Well, since he's attacking, he dies. But how I wanted Rat Bomber to work is he attacks, he dies, and then he's just dead. And then when he dies, he just quickly attacks, and then that's it. Kind of screwed up the wording there, but the intent is there's no infinite loop. It's just if he manages to attack, he dies. That's it. And then if he's like in melee combat and he gets shot, he attacks real quick because he blows up. But otherwise, very hard to use because he's melee. He's not ranged like the other ones. But if you can connect these to the tower, it's big damage. Alright, so that's Krea's units. Let's go on to Eli. Eli's main shtick is slow push, like one really big and slow push with range units as support. I think their range units are slightly better and their front lines are slightly better, but they have very few movement options, and I think they're very slow in general. Alright, Cleric. It's their healer, has no attack, all he does is heal. That's all he does. That is all he does, he heals. Footmen we've discussed, it's basically Boarmen with swim. I just gave them swim so they'd have two options. I think they're the only ones with swim. So yeah, I just kind of gave them swim. Rifleman is essentially the Javelineers with an extra range and swim instead of dodge. Wildmen are exactly like the Fish Thugs, just some slightly better melee units. The Magic Bullet Sniper is quite unique in that it's the only unit with 4 range. This unit has stealth when no enemies are within 1 range of it. Yeah, I'd have to reword stealth because I think stealth was different when I first made it, but essentially a unit with stealth is untargetable unless they somehow get into melee combat, in which case they'll be seen. So yeah, I'd have to change stealth works, but essentially you can't target him unless you have units next to him, and they can whack it. So he is quite expensive with 30 food, and he only has 1 HP, but he has 4 power and 4 range, but he's the only unit with also 1 speed. So he's gonna take forever to get anywhere and to actually contribute, but he's very good at like sitting back. But don't be fooled, there's a lot of really quick units that can quickly get to him and murder him. Also, I think I forgot to say, you are not stealthed against spells. So if you have like the lightning bolt spell, which does, yeah, right here. If you have the lightning strike spell, you can still target the magic bullet snipers. Stealth does not work against spells. Sidekick is a cool unit. He has Drop Troop. This unit spawns with one additional keyword of your choice. You can pick whichever keyword you want. I just figured it'd be cool if you had one. He's a general to be, and his ability is Magic Shell. Target unit takes no damage from magical attacks this round. Very expensive with a very strong keyword, because no damage from magical attacks is quite strong. But quite expensive. He's got some good stats, but there's a good chance you don't even get him down. And if they don't have magical attacks, he's just kind of a guy. Scout is just a very cheap unit for them to have. Mainly just, it's kind of similar to like the Pathfinder, just there to just like, hey, here's an extra damage. Airship is Eli's 50 food unit. It's got flying. This unit can use its ranged attack after flying over terrain. Oh yeah, I had it to where I'm gonna have to change that because I don't think I changed flying. This unit can't be targeted by non-flying melee units, so similar to Nia, they can't hit them because it's constantly flying in the air. But I think the first part I want it to be it can attack. It can never be in melee or something. I don't know. I'd have to relook at the airship. As you can tell, there's a lot of things I need to work on. But yeah, so the airship's big thing is that it's constantly flying. It's very hard to hit. 2 times 3 power. It's a lot of damage. 4 HP. 2 range. So it's constantly flying over the melee units. And it can, it's constantly just dishing out a lot of damage. However, it's not immortal because obviously the frog instantly deals with it because it pulls it in, deals damage, there we go. So it's not immortal, but it's very hard to deal with. The catapult is Eli's advanced siege weapon. And I made it so that Eli Krea's siege weapons are better. I did that intentionally. Because I think the frog cannon is just a better version of the catapult. Where is he? Yeah, it's got the exact same stat, except it has an ability against them. I made it so that Krea's siege weapons are better because I want to emphasize they're better at attack and speed and all that. Artillerymen are kind of better than the Krea's, is that it has 2 range, so it can sit back a bit further, but that's more emphasis on Eli's better range on the units. Most of the units have 2 range. They have way much better range units. And then we go down to Paladin. Paladin is a frontline unit. So it can, your faster units can choose to stay behind it for a big push. And it has a couple abilities. Frontline and Shield. Shield means the first attack it receives a round it's reduced to 0. Smite means its next magical attack is magical and does an extra damage, so it's just a nice little damaging ability for him to have. Healing Aura is just kind of a small Adel ability. Just one quick, okay, my units are a bit injured, I'm a bit injured, let's just heal up a bit, there we go. Otherwise, it's just a kind of a solid frontline unit for you to have. I don't think it's as good as the Crocodile, but it's something. The Magus, It's just a very simple range unit similar to the Hexer. Target unit gains magical attacks for the round as his attack, so some defensive keywords in the way. Magical attack is very strong. The Knight is their cavalry, charging if it attacks. Oh, if it moves its full speed, and it gets charging as a shield, so very good defensive keyword. If this unit charged, it deals 1 damage to every enemy model in the same hex. So very good against swarms of units, because they can very easily run in there, do 1 quick damage to everything. They don't have a lot of health, and oh boy. Or it can help proc block and all that stuff. So it's a very fast unit. I don't think it's as good as the Kreia unit, but I want to again emphasize Kreia is better at speed and all that. The Huntress is their anti-hero unit. This unit does double damage to 2 and prioritizes generals first, has climbing, and it has a net throw. Target enemy models can't attack or move this round. So it's cheaper than the Sabertooth guy, because she's 20 and the Sabertooth guy is 25 food, but she's not nearly as good at killing them because she does not have she has 1 less HP, she doesn't have she's missing an attack, and she doesn't have that ability. Wait, does he have an attack? No, they have the same attack, right? Yeah, okay. So she's missing an HP, and she doesn't have an attack on her ability. So, little depending on which one you think is better, because the net throw is pretty cool. The Frost Sage is just a very nice support unit. This unit is immune to all negative ice effects. Again, I'm probably going to change that, so this unit can't be slowed or something. Frost Shield, enemy units attack and target enemy is losing attack. Very strong. If they have multiple attacks, Frost Shield is very nice. It's slightly worse than Rifleman in terms of damage output. It's slower. There's only 1 of them. It doesn't have a magical attack, but it's just a nice little support unit, I think. Executioner is another frontlining unit. Whenever this unit kills an enemy model, it attacks again. So, very good at killing those 2 HP units, because it attacks, then it attacks, then it attacks. Constantly, just keep attacking. Very slow, but it's very good at killing hordes. The Demolisher is the really expensive siege weapon. This unit is immune to all debuffs and disables. It's tough, so it's very hard to kill. However, it's very slow. The main use of the Demolisher is the fact that it has 5 power, and it's a siege weapon, which means it will instantly kill towers. If the Demolisher hits a tower, it is destroyed. But otherwise, it's still a pretty good tanking unit, because 6 HP and tough is very nice. It just doesn't have frontline, which I would be wary of. But its main use is, like, if this lands on the tower, big news. The Centurion is similar to the Crocodile. Frontline and shield. It's got the same stacks as the Wildman, 3 HP, but shield is very nice. Frontline is also very nice. Costs a bit more food. It's missing a speed, but I think the frontline and shields are very big in its durability, especially since there's 2. The Battle Balloon is just a weaker airship. It's got 1 less attack and 1 less power, so very less damage output, but it's got an extra speed, 1 less HP, but there we go. And the Archeress is just another version of the Rifleman. It's got quick attack, but 1 less range, so depending on which one you'd want, extra range and swim, or just quick attack, up to you. But yeah, that's all that. Let's just go over the miracles real quick, and then we'll call it a video that's been going on for 2.5 hours. Alright, so these are currently all the spells or miracles in the game. I'm just going to go over them all real quick. Not a whole lot. Again, some of these are work in progress. I'm not entirely happy with them. There's only 15. Yeah. Okay, so Cleanse, 20 mana. Remove all harmful effects from allies and all beneficial effects from enemies and target hex. Quick play, so you can quickly just say nope to certain abilities. It doesn't really impact the field very much, but it's just a nice little utility miracle, I think. Lightning Strike is target model, takes 4 lightning damage. Again, I'm just going to say 4 damage, or 4 magic damage. Very strong, considering if they have really big units, you can quickly say, boom, Lightning Strike, kill it. It's only model, though, so if they have a lot of small units, it's not very good. But it's just something nice. Strong Winds is just a very cheap movement trick, because you can push your enemy unit forward 1, you can push your unit forward 1, maybe you push their unit back 1, so it's just a very cheap movement trick. Trapping Roots, their unit has the movement set to 0 for the round, so they just can't move, and it's the unit, not the model. So this again is very nice little stop moving, very cheap. It's only for a round. It doesn't actually deal with the unit, which is why I made it 15, because it actually doesn't actually deal with the unit, so I did that. Smooth Walk, target unit is immune to slow and can move past enemy units. So if there's a unit that prioritizes certain units, you can quickly do this and they can get there. Because like assassins, they will still prioritize lower health units, but since they're not stealth, they can't move past them. So you can use Smooth Walk, they'll quickly move past their frontline units and get to the back lines, stab them. Fireball is just a very simple damaging ability for multiple units, 1 times 3 fire damage. It's going to be 1 times 3 magic damage. Again, changing stuff. Just very simple, like, kill something really cheap backline unit or whatever. Floor of Flame, I'm probably changing this. Enemy models who move and target hex are burned for the round. I'm changing that because I don't want people to have to deal with that. Meditation, only 0 mana miracle. You gain 20 mana. Can only be used if you didn't do anything this round, and you can't do anything for the rest of this round. So you get extra mana, but that's it. You can't control your units, you can't do anything. Once you're meditating, you're meditating. It's very good because I think you can very easily cycle, because you can do like, you can cast have like one really big spell and cheap utility spell and then meditate. So you can quickly cycle through your things really fast, but maybe it needs more mana. I don't know. Gotta test some stuff out. Safety Bubble, target unit gains 1 temporary HP quick play. So just like, I need these guys to get a bit of health. Throw Safety Bubbles on them. There you go. Disguise, target unit gains stealth until the end of the round. So you can give a big unit stealth and all that, which is cool. Blockade puts a 4 HP wall on the target deck. This can stop your opponent. It can stop you. This block takes up the whole attack and is considered an enemy for both players. So essentially, put a block on a whole hex. If there are any models there, they get pushed back, and then you continue pushing units back until everything's legal again. And that just blocks them off. So you can put blocks to stop ranged units, and you can use that to your advantage and whatnot. Freeze all units and target hex for the round. So really big swing, because you just say, hey, all your guys are frozen. You guys can whack them to death. There you go. Stimulant, target unit gains +1 speed and quick attack for the round. Quickly get in there, attack first, all that. Heavenly Fist, kill all enemy units and target hex. Buildings take 5 damage. No one can respond to this. This is literally the kids punching the table. You can't respond to this because you're punching it. The other kid, there's no imagination. It happened. You punch the table. The cat's dead. Marauder, dead. Everything dead. Costs 100 mana, though, which is literally all your mana. Very big spell, but costs a lot. Healing Circle, heal all models, allied models and target hex by 1. Not as good as Safety Bubbles, I think, because Safety Bubble gives it to all units. You can all get an extra temporary HP. Healing Circle, as I said at the beginning, if a model is damaged, it has to continue taking damage till it dies, so it's usually not that good. It's more than they just like, this unit's injured, now this unit's injured, let me just, or maybe my hero's injured, so I'll just use this to heal for 2. So that's all the miracles. Use those however you want. I think I did a good job with them, but a couple more fix. But anyway, I know this is a fucking long video, 2.5 hours, but this is essentially me explaining everything you would need to know about this game. Explaining all the heroes and all that, explaining the rules as best as I can. If you want to know more about this game, feel free to message me. My name's on the top right. That's my name on Discord too. Same picture and everything. I just really want MINImax Tinyverse to live on forever. You can find this mod actually on Tabletop Simulator. I think it's just called MINImax Board Game. Yeah, MINImax the board game right there. That's the picture and everything. So anyways, I know it's been a long video. You probably haven't watched it all, but April Fools. Hope I see you guys in the next video.